Hey guys, my name is Gabby. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing a video talking about where to start with thrillers. And this is going to be specifically targeted towards people who are maybe just starting to get into thrillers or would like to get into thrillers, but they don't know where to start because the genre is just so wide and there's so many different kinds of thrillers and different things, and maybe you don't know what you like yet. So I'm coming at you with a lot of different recommendations for thriller beginners because I get this question almost all the time of like, where do I start with thrillers, or what's a good thriller if you've never read a thriller, or where is a good place to begin? And so hopefully I can answer some of those questions for you today. But before we do jump into the video, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Luisa for sponsoring today's video. Luisa is a jewelry brand and they sell necklaces, bracelets, rings, earrings, different things like that. They have long-lasting pieces crafted with care. They only use the best noble metals, and they have no luxury markups, meaning they are starting at $39, and they have some higher end pieces if that's what you're looking for as well. What I really enjoy about this company is that they offset 100% of their carbon emissions, meaning that everything they take, they give back to the environment. So they're very environmentally friendly and they have a sustainable mission, which definitely means a lot to me that they're caring about the environment and that they're conscious about those things. I have a few different pieces that I selected this time that I would like to show you. The first one is this ring that I'm wearing, and this ring is really nice because it's a sizable ring, which means you can like resize it a little bit so it's not like a confirmed set size, which I really like because I can wear it on different fingers, because some of my fingers have different like ring sizes and they don't always fit on every finger, so I really like that option. And then the next one I got is this cute little moon necklace that has a little half moon on it, and I feel like this one is so simplistic and it's so cute, and it's just the kind of necklace that I love to wear. And then the next set is this Cardi set, and this one is a set that has two necklaces in one, and I really like this because I'm not really good at layering jewelry myself if I'm ever going to do that, and so I really like that they kind of layer it for you, and so they essentially do all the hard work for you and you just get to look cute. And I love these necklaces that they have with the extra beads on the actual chain part on the necklace. I just think it looks so cool and it adds that extra cool look to it. So Luisa is currently running their Black Friday sale right now, so you can go and click the link in my description to go and check out their Black Friday sale. I'm sure you're going to find something you love because these are such beautiful pieces, and I'm not much of a jewelry wearer myself, but I really enjoy these pieces. I especially love the rings. I don't know what it is, but I love their rings because they're so simplistic and just so like beautiful. And so yeah, thank you so much to Luisa for sponsoring today's video. Definitely be sure to go and check them out. Alright, so on to the video. Where to begin with thrillers? That is the question of the day. And first off, I would personally recommend one of my all-time favorite thrillers, and the first one that I really started with, and that's Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. And I know you're like, Gone Girl, it's like the most overhyped book ever, right? Well, if you haven't read thrillers, I would recommend starting with Gone Girl, because I've heard too from other people that frequently read thrillers, they go and read Gone Girl and they don't like it as much for some reason. I mean, I wouldn't know because I read Gone Girl first and I loved it, and it's still one of my favorite books of all time. I've actually reread this book too, and it was so great on a reread. And this book is like the classic thriller setup, like wife goes missing, husband maybe gets blamed, and you just go on in this journey of finding out what happened to her. And it just has one of the best plot twists ever, okay? If you haven't been spoiled for Gone Girl, read Gone Girl. Next would be if you typically read more women's fiction or literary fiction and you're looking to get into more thrillers, I would recommend a few different books for this particular person. I would recommend Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty because this one is a thriller that appeals to readers who've read women's fiction, I feel like, or even literary fiction, because this book has some really strong feminist themes and it has like really strong friendships, and it almost makes you actually care about the characters, because I feel like a lot of times in thrillers you don't really read them to care about the characters, you know, like you read thrillers mostly for the plot twist and for the writing. But in this case, I feel like these three books that I'm going to recommend for these particular readers are books where you actually do care about the characters and there's still like a mystery and thriller going on in the book. So I would definitely recommend Big Little Lies because this is one of my all-time favorite books. It's a really great thriller, but it also has really great characters. Another one I would recommend is Long Bright River by Liz Moore. This one is less of a thriller and more of like a slow burn mystery, but this one's really great because this one kind of reads like literary fiction in a way, but it has this really great mystery going on because we're following the main girl character is a cop and her sister is a drug addict, and her sister goes missing, and then it's kind of about her tracking down her sister. But it's written in like a literary fiction style, but it's still like so freaking good, and I feel like this would be a good introduction into more of a like thriller mystery genre. Then same goes for Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. This is a thriller that's one of my favorites of all time, but it's strange because I found this book to be pretty predictable, but I didn't really love this book because of the thriller aspects of it. I loved it because of the characters and the relationship, and this book made me cry, and I just cared so much about this mom and this daughter, because this book is about this daughter who goes missing and this mom who's like trying to track her down like years and years later, and it's just such a beautiful, amazing story, and I just loved it so much. But this isn't necessarily one that I was shocked by. Like, it's not a thriller I would read because it has amazing plot twists, but if you typically read like literary fiction or women's fiction, I really think you would enjoy this thriller. The next set I have to recommend is if you're typically a romance reader, then I think you might enjoy some thrillers that have some romantic aspects in it and were written by romance authors previous to these books. So what I mean is He Will Be My Ruin by K.A. Tucker is one of my favorite thrillers that involves some romance elements. It's kind of like a romantic suspense novel, and K.A. Tucker has previously written a lot of romances, so I think you might enjoy this one if you're looking to dip into some thrills but you typically read romance, because this one involves this girl who gets involved in this like love triangle between these two guys, but she's also trying to figure out what happened to her best friend who supposedly committed suicide, but she thinks there's something more suspicious happening there. Another one would be When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. This author has previously written a lot of romances, and this one's her first thriller, and this one also does involve some romantic elements as well. And this one also touches heavily on race and privilege. It has major Get Out vibes. And then we have Verity by Colleen Hoover, which I feel like this one can also be considered a romantic suspense novel. This one definitely has some like spooky, creepy vibes as well, but this one is a really good, thrilling story. And if you're usually a romance reader, then you've probably read maybe from Colleen Hoover. So I think this would be a good recommendation to dip your toe into the thrilling genre. Next up would be if you usually like reading sci-fi, or if you're really obsessed with the show Black Mirror, then I would recommend checking out these thrillers from John Mars, because The Passengers is this really great book that feels like, both of these feel like they could be Black Mirror episodes to me. So this one is like all of these people are passengers in their self-driving cars in the future kind of, and the cars make a turn from their destination, and they're like, the speaker comes over the car and it's like, you're going to die. And then the 8 live feeds from inside each of the cars are getting broadcast to everyone in the world, and they're asking the public, who are we going to kill first out of these 8 people in the cars. It's freaking bonkers wild. It's such a fun book. Like, it's so entertaining. And this one kind of touches heavily on cancel culture and how like toxic it is, and it's just great. And then we have The One by John Mars, which this one is also really cool, a really fun concept. It's about this universe where you can take a DNA test to find out who your soulmate is. And it's just such a fun time. You follow from the point of view of a few different characters in this book, and it's just such a great book. Like, seriously, if you love Black Mirror, you need to read this. The next thing I have is if you need a thriller that you could potentially read all in one sitting because they're just that exciting and thrilling, I would recommend No Exit by Taylor Adams, because this one is not so much of a mystery, but 100% a thriller, because this one is so intense. It's so thrilling. It's following this girl who's stuck in a blizzard in Colorado, and she has to pull over at this rest stop where she gets stuck there. And then she sees this child in the back of a van in a crate, and she knows that she's stuck at this rest stop with a child abductor, but she doesn't know which one of them it is. And it's such an intense book. It's so much fun. It all takes place during this like blizzard, so it's very atmospheric. And it's great. I feel like you could finish this in one sitting because you're just going to be like flying through this book trying to figure out what's going on. And then I would also recommend What Lies Between Us by John Mars. Even though this book is pretty thick, I do think that this is the kind of book that you could read in one sitting just because of how fast-paced this book is. I feel like there's a plot twist literally at the end of every single chapter of this book. Like, that's how fast-paced we're going here. but I really, really love this book. This one, all you know about it going into it is that it's following these two girls, Maggie and Nina, and they have dinner together every night, but then Nina takes Maggie back into the attic where she like locks her there for the night because she's paying the price for something she did. And that's literally all you know going in. It's a crazy, crazy ride, this book. Oh my gosh. All right, the next category thing that I have would be if you typically read horror books, or maybe if you're just looking for some thrillers that have some like spooky vibes to it or some paranormal elements. This is personally one of my favorite things in thrillers. Like I really love, like if a thriller has spooky vibes, then it's like going to the top of my TBR. You know, like this is my favorite thing that I look for in thrillers. The first book I would recommend is The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, because this one, oh my gosh, the atmosphere, it's so spooky. It's kind of like a haunted smart house. And then we have The Shadows by Alex North. With this one, I would think like some boys messing around in the woods and Slenderman vibes. And then we have Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. This one's kind of like maybe it's a haunted, cursed apartment building in New York City. And then of course we have Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. This one is major, major Haunting of Hill House vibes. And then we have The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. This one is like a haunted boarding school-ish. And then lastly, The Nesting by CJ Cook. This one is a recent favorite of mine. This one also has Turn of the Key, Bly Manor vibes, and it involves a nanny that's nannying at this house that may or may not be kind of haunted or cursed or spooky. I would also say the other book by Simone St. James, Sundown Motel. I think that one is also pretty spooky and has the spooky vibes there. Right, the next kind of thing that I would recommend is thrillers that involve some kind of like crime or legal aspect to it. And maybe this is for the people that really enjoy true crime, or if you enjoy reading like some really intense courtroom scenes. And these are all books that feature courtroom scenes in them. To be honest, this is something that I personally thought I didn't enjoy in thrillers. Like I usually don't enjoy thrillers that either follow from a detective's point of view or involve some like legal jargon, like crime related jargon. Like I just don't like, I just usually find them boring, and if they involve a courtroom scene, I'm usually like, I don't really care. I like more of the like family drama in thrillers. I like more of the personal, like reading about the people who did the crimes as opposed to reading about the people fighting for them in the courtroom, you know what I mean? But these are three books that have some courtroom scenes that are really, really good thrillers that I really enjoyed. First one is A Good Marriage by Kimberly McCreight, because this one follows this lawyer whose name is Lizzie, and she's going to be representing her friend Zach, who she went to law school with, because he's getting accused of murdering his wife. And I think the reason why I enjoyed this one so much is because in alternate chapters from Lizzie, we get the point of view from his wife, like a few days before she died, and we kind of get to see what led up to that. So this book has a balance of things that I love in thrillers and then like the courtroom, like lawyer aspect. But it's such a good thriller. Oh my god, had such a great time. The ending was bonkers. And then we have The Night Swim by Megan Golden. This one's also more of a recent favorite. This one involves a podcast, and it follows this rape trial that's happening in a small town, and the podcast is kind of covering the rape trial as it's happening. Of course, there are major trigger warnings in this book for anything related to rape and sexual assault and all of that. It's very difficult to read at times, I will warn you, but it's such a good book. It's so freaking good. And then the last one is Our Kind of Cruelty. This one is more, it kind of reminds me of like You by Caroline Kepnes, because this one mainly follows this guy who's kind of a crazy stalker towards his ex-girlfriend. But then towards the end of this book, we do get a courtroom scene happening that is very, very intense, and it feels more like a legal thriller towards the end of this book. Really enjoyed this one too. This one I have strange feelings for, but I do feel like it's a good recommendation if you enjoy those kinds of things. And this last category I have is just books that have some really freaking good plot twists. Like if you're looking to jump into thrillers just because you want to experience a really good plot twist and have your world absolutely shook and turned upside down, then I have some books that I think you might want to check out. The first one would be Gone Girl for this, because like if you haven't been spoiled for Gone Girl, you need to read Gone Girl. It's one of the best plot twists, and this book shook my world. It changed my life because I didn't see that shit coming, and now I'm obsessed with thrillers because of this book. So seriously, if you haven't read Gone Girl, read Gone Girl first. I would also recommend The Turn of the Key in this category, because I feel like The Turn of the Key has one of those endings where you're like, plot twist, another plot twist, and it just hits you with like 4 of them or something, like back to back to back to back, and you think you know what's going on, and then you don't, and then you think you do, and then you don't, and it's like, it's crazy. There's a reason why this is one of my favorite books of all time. It has the spooky vibes and it has the great plot twist. Like, what more do you need in life? The next one I would recommend is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Like, holy shit, dude. As one of the best plot twists I've ever read in a book. I was so shook by this for like days afterwards. I was like, how did I not see that coming? What the heck? And this book mainly takes place in a mental institution, and we're following this psychotherapist who is speaking to this patient, Alicia, who is no longer speaking after she randomly shot her husband 5 times in the face and hasn't spoken since. And lastly, I have my favorite plot twist that I've ever read in a book, and that's Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. This book literally shook me to my core at the end of this book. Like, what the heck? I just couldn't believe where this story went. I don't think I ever could have predicted that, and it was just so great. Like, it was so great. And I know this plot twist definitely isn't for everyone. Like, I know this plot twist pisses a lot of people off, but I just loved it. Alrighty, well, those are all of the thrillers that I would recommend to people that are just starting to get into thrillers. And of course, please let me know your thoughts if you've read any of these books, if you agree with any of these books, and let me know what are some thrillers that you think would be perfect for people that are looking to get into thrillers, or like thriller beginners. Like, what do you think is a perfect thriller for them to read that I didn't mention here? And definitely be sure to check the link for the Anna Luisa, and be sure to check out their Black Friday deal because they got some really good deals going on right now. Thank you so much again to them for sponsoring this video, and thank you all so much for watching, and I will definitely be sure to see you soon with a new video.